Hey there friends, March is here and that means it's time to shake off the winter blues and get our hands in the soil. The days are getting longer, the sun is more intense, and with spring equinox coming up in just a couple of days, we're officially on the road to warmer weather. But don't let that fool you. Cold snaps, wind, and even frost can still hit. I'd say even likely, especially if you live up north. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you can plant right now so you're set up for a successful growing season. Before we jump into planting, let's talk about USDA Hardiness Zones. The US has zones ranging from 3 to 10, and knowing yours is important for planning your garden. This is the USDA Hardiness Zone map of the US. I recommend looking up your specific state after this video for a more precise look. If you're in zone 7 or colder, hold off on moving plants outside too soon. And if you do, make sure they're protected under cover. This can be either greenhouse or hoop houses or fleece. Okay. March is prime time for cold season crops. This month, you can plant everything from February plus a few extras. I recommend starting most of your seeds indoors, even if outside seems perfect. Once they outgrow their seed trays, transplant them into gardens under a row cover or a fleece to help them adjust to the elements. We'll start this with leafy greens. These include plants like lettuce, spinach, kale, bok choy, arugula, and celery. These all love cooler temperatures, and start them inside and move them out in a few weeks. For lettuce, arugula, and celery, sow several seeds in a single nursery pot or tray, then prick them out into individual cells. Once their first 2 leaves are a healthy green. Celery is unique in that it needs light to germinate, so don't bury them. Just lightly scratch them into the surface. As for the rest, I plant 2 or 3 to a cell and then thin them down to 1 after they've grown. Okay, there's also root vegetables. That's radishes, beets, and turnips. These can all be planted early. And I plant them 3 or 4 in a cell and don't thin them down to 1. They grow well in bunches. While not a root crop, kohlrabi visually fits into this group and does well when started early. Carrots and parsnips are an exception to the start always indoors rule. Sow them directly outdoors and thin them later. Transplanted carrots tend to be crooked and deformed. We've all seen these pictures. The sunchokes are an underrated option for early planting. I'm growing sunchokes for the first time this year, and if you're going to try them too, be aware that they spread aggressively, like mint. I planted them away from my main garden, near where I'm going to be planting corn, squash, and climbing beans. These are tubers that are planted much like ginger. Just bury a tuber with 2 inches of soil on top of it. Peas and broad beans can grow now too. The nice thing about these is that they are nitrogen fixers. Check out this video for more what that means and how it works. This year, I will be using these and store-bought fava beans as bed fillers and cover crops while my main crops are small. I use home saved seed and get near 100% germination, so I just plant 1 seed per cell. If your pea seed were ordered online or are older, you may be better off planting 2 per cell and thinning down to 1. Most of these crops can handle a little frost, but if you're in a colder zone, use row covers or cold frames to protect them. Next, we're diving into some crops that might surprise you, but before we do, why not subscribe for more gardening and planting advice? And if you're looking to save money on seeds, consider becoming a channel member. Seeds can be pricey, but as a member, you'll receive a crop share of all the seeds that I grow right here. It's a great way to support the channel and keep your garden thriving. If you're in zone 6 or warmer, March is your chance to start some warm weather crops inside. These plants grow slowly and benefit from a head start before they go outside. Starting potatoes and sweet potatoes. March is the perfect time to start growing sweet potato slips. This is the most cost-effective way to propagate sweet potatoes, especially if you're using organic store-bought ones. I'm growing the traditional orange variety as well as the Okinawan purple sweet potato, which I first saw on The Blue Zones, a Netflix show about centenarian populations. These potatoes store incredibly well, and I expect to have many slips. If you want some, let me know in the comments, and I'll have them sent out as soon as they're ready. To do this yourself, get organic sweet potatoes from the store and push half of their mass into a tote of damp peat moss. Shoots will appear in a couple of weeks. Break those off from the potato and stick them in a cup of water to encourage root formation. These then can be transplanted into your garden. March is also a great time to chit or pre-sprout potatoes. This gives them a head start before planting. I'm using organic red potatoes from the store. This is a great early variety, and this process is simple. Place them in an egg carton, the potatoes, to keep them stable. Set them in a room with indirect sunlight, not directly in the sun. That'll dry them out and make raisin potatoes. And then wait for strong, stubby sprouts before sticking them in the garden. Some plants love the heat, and March is a good time to start those indoors. Peppers take their time to grow, so starting them early in the warmth of your home gives them a strong head start. A heat mat helps with germination, and they'll need plenty of sun or a strong grow light once they've sprouted. Putting them near a window just won't cut it, and that's true for all plants. They need a dedicated grow light. Tomatoes grow faster than peppers, but still need warmth. Start them indoors under lights, and when transplanting, bury them deep for strong roots. Both peppers and tomatoes need warm soil and nighttime temperatures above 50 degrees before transplanting. So don't rush them outdoors. Get them started now, and they'll be ready to take off when the weather warms up. While you're looking at the frost states, here's another key step in growing strong, productive tomato and pepper plants. It's called potting them up. Once your seedlings outgrow their starter cells, usually size 72, they'll need more space to develop a strong root system. This means transplanting them into a 3 or 4 inch pot before they go into the ground. If you skip this step, your plants can become stressed, leading to weak growth and poor yields. Now, what do you use for potting up? Nursery pots, 3 or 4 inches, are the best for airflow and drainage, reusability. They're just the best. Party cups with a big drainage hole on the bottom work in a pinch, but they're not ideal. And they don't breathe like proper nursery pots. And they have a tendency of toppling over. Biodegradable pots are great. They allow for easy transplanting, but make sure you watch the moisture levels. Taking the time to harden off your plants before transplanting is very critical. This means gradually introducing them to outdoor temperatures, sunlight, and wind over a couple of day period. Take a look at these fava beans that I just put outside. I knew this was going to happen, but I wanted to get it on camera to show you. They are not looking good. Now, take a look at these that I've been hardening off for the past couple of days. Now, I do believe that the sickly looking fava beans will recover, but not like that. It'll take a while. Be patient. A strong, well-timed transplant will always outperform an early rushed one. If you want fresh flavors straight from the garden, now's the time to start herbs like parsley and cilantro and dill inside. They're easy to grow and can be transplanted outside once the weather warms up. Parsley takes a painstaking length of time to germinate, so don't be discouraged. And I find that planting them in a mass nursery is best. Dill and cilantro can be planted in size 72 cell trays like peppers and tomatoes. Parsley and dill can handle cooler temperatures. Cilantro can too, so they can transition outside a little earlier with proper hardening off. So get these started now and you'll have a steady supply of homegrown flavor for months to come. And starting these crops early means bigger, stronger plants when it's time to transplant. Just be sure you have space to pot them up as they grow, otherwise they'll get root bound before it's time to move them outside, and that's really not good, antithetical to starting them in the first place. March isn't just about quick growing crops. If you want something that comes back year after year, now's the time to get planting asparagus. Plant the crowns now and you'll be harvesting for years to come. Rhubarb is another one. It's a tough as nails perennial that's perfect for pies, preserves, even more. And get it in the ground as soon as the soil is workable. Perennials take time to establish, but once they do, they'll reward you season after season without you putting in any work. A great garden isn't just about veggies. Flowers help keep everything balanced. They bring in pollinators and can even keep pests away. Marigolds are my favorite, and they deter pests and even attract helpful insects. If you want to know more about how they do this, check out this video on French marigolds here. Adding flowers doesn't just make your garden look better, it helps everything grow stronger and healthier. March is a time of big change, longer days, warming soil, and the first real steps towards spring. Knowing your climate and planting the right crops now will set you up for an incredible growing season. If this video has helped you out, hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you're new for more gardening content. And tell me in the comments, what are you planting this month? I'd love to hear what's growing in your garden. Happy planting, and I'll catch you in the next gardening video.